We're the creators of the AADL TV show, Recipe Share, now in its 4th season, and we have some exciting news. We've created a cookbook. Our cookbook is titled, Thanks for Sharing, which includes recipes by all 3 of us, some of which you may have heard here on the show, and some that we have yet to share.
Our cookbook includes dozens of recipes ranging from breakfast to dinner, with snacks, appetizers, and desserts too. These are all our original recipes created by us or passed down in our families. We're so happy that we get to share them with you.
If you're interested in getting a free copy of our cookbook while supplies last, please email recipeshare@aadl.org with your name and the library you'd like to pick it up at. Thanks for Sharing is also available in Braille. Just let us know if you would like the Braille version. And feel free to email recipeshare@aadl.org if you have any questions. We hope you enjoy.
Recipe share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is Skillet Favorites. I'm Elizabeth, and as usual, I'm joined today by Katie and Beth to tell us about their recipes. So, Beth, tell us about your Skillet favorite.
All right. Today I made, yesterday, but today I'm sharing our son Nate's awesome cornbread recipe that he developed when he was 11 years old. And it's very tasty. I mean, as soon as I kept thinking like Skillet favorite, it's definitely a Skillet favorite. You make it right in the metal, the frying pan. No, the lodge cast iron. Oh my God. Oy, I'm not firing on all cylinders right now. So in fact, this recipe is so forgiving that yesterday when I made it, so you start with a stick of melted butter, and he's got 2/3 of a cup of sugar, some baking soda, a cup of cornmeal, cup of flour. You can also use gluten-free flour, half a teaspoon of salt. So his directions are: 1, melt butter, comma, eggs, comma, everything. 2, 30 minutes, 375 Fahrenheit, toothpick. I broke it down a little bit because you do melt the butter, you do beat the eggs. You want to make sure the butter's cooled a bit before you add your eggs, because they'll start cooking the eggs. So just, set it aside for a few minutes, mix up your dry ingredients, put it all in. But what happened yesterday is I put it in the oven, like, oh, I forgot to add the buttermilk. So I took it out. Actually, prior to that, I used the wrong size pan. It should be in a 10.5 inch pan. I used too big. So it was a series of wrong turns, but it still turned out really well. You can't mess it up. I say that you use buttermilk or cream. You can probably add any kind of milk substitute that you have, or just milk. So you put it in the oven, take it out, and it's very good.
Is this your family's, is this the cornbread recipe that you make if you're making cornbread?
Yep.
Love it.
This is it. Yep. This is the one. I mean, we have it on our phones usually, but I wanted to find the actual, awesome.
So
cornbread.
cute.
So
I love
yeah.
it. I love
so
it.
He's your age. So he was 11 years old when he did that, Elizabeth. So anyway, Katie, do you want to share what you made for Skillet Fave?
I will, but I just wanted to comment on yours too, and just say that it sounds really simple. I feel like my cornbread recipe is more complicated than that, and I'm excited to try 11-year-old Nate's version. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And especially the picture that the recipe that he wrote out at that age is adorable. So that's great. Okay, So the recipe that I'm sharing with you today is for green chili and corn quesadillas. This recipe came from a book that I got from the library, but I had to give it back. It's Milk Street's The World in a Skillet by Christopher Kimball. And I'll show you a little screenshot of the cover so you can see what it looks like. It's a really, really nice book to look through. And I am a huge fan of Christopher Kimball. I love watching him on TV, but I do find a lot of the times that his recipes are a little bit technical or maybe a little bit too advanced for cooking on a weeknight. But this recipe is super accessible and easy, and I really love it. You basically make your filling first, and it starts with cooking up some corn. You can use fresh corn or frozen corn kernels that are thawed. You just put them in your nonstick skillet, and you're gonna just stir them like once, maybe twice while it cooks for like 5 minutes. So you get like some nice char on your corn. And then you're going to just put that into a bowl, set it aside. And then in the same skillet, you're going to cook up your poblano chilies, onion with some oregano, cumin, salt, pepper. And you're just going to cook that until the vegetables get soft and brown. And then you're going to put those into the bowl with your corn. It says to just let it cool for a little bit, and it's just like a minute or two while you wipe out your skillet and get it ready to make the rest of your quesadillas, because you're going to use the same skillet. But you don't need to cool it too much because you're going to add some cheese and you want it to melt in there. So it says you can use Oaxaca cheese or pepper jack, and I use pepper jack because it's what I always have in the house. Really simple for me. So, and I love the way it tastes. So you threw some pepper jack in there, it gets melty. And then you also stir in cilantro, diced pickled jalapenos, and a little bit of the jalapeno brine that's in there too. So I thought that that was really neat. And then this is probably my favorite part of this recipe. So you pre-assemble your quesadillas. So you're going to take your mixture, and I've got a picture of my bowl that's got the veggie and cheese mixture all in there. And you spread it out on your tortillas, and they used 4 10-inch flour tortillas, and I had 8-inch tortillas that were both flour and gluten-free, so it made 6 of them. And so I just love the fact that you're spreading your mixture in your quesadillas, you're folding them over and pressing them before you're even starting to cook them. Because when I make quesadillas, I'm usually assembling over the heat and it gets like chaotic. And this was just nice to be able, they're all pre-assembled before I'm even cooking them. So then you heat up your skillet again, and these quesadillas are fried, which is also different than how I usually make them. So I usually just put quesadillas right in my nonstick, but this used some oil and heat that up before you put your quesadillas in. And then you cook it for like 2 minutes and flip it over, and they get nice and golden brown on the tortilla. And that was just really special. Got a picture of that, what it looks like in the pan. It's just different than the way that I usually make quesadillas. So I really liked it. Made a whole ton of quesadillas. They were so good, served with sour cream, avocado, hot sauce, wonderful for dinner. And then there were just like so many that they were great for lunch the next day left over. And I've made this a couple of times now, so it's definitely something that will remain in my repertoire. I just really enjoyed the flavors and the technique of making these quesadillas. Really good recipe.
Sounds absolutely delicious. I can't wait to recreate that. I love poblanos, and I feel like I find quesadilla making chaotic as well. There's always like stuff spilling out the sides. It's getting in the pan, and like I can't, like the one side gets burned, but I love the pre-assemble. And I think that like the key, I always make them too big, and I think it's better to just make more and like not have them, and just have the stuff contained. And it sounds like the fold over pre-assemble is an awesome trick.
Yes, and that reminds me, so as you're making them, what I was doing was just having the oven heat on low. And so once I'm done making 2 of them, just put them in a baking pan in the oven while I make the rest of them. So they're staying warm and I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's great. The poblanos though, were they fresh?
Mhm.
poblanos? So
Yep.
you sauteed those. Oh,
Yes, I did. Yep.
Okay.
Sauteed them up
Okay.
after slicing them into strips.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really yummy
Ugh.
and pretty simple.
Yeah, simple and tasty. Elizabeth, tell us about your skillet favorite, please.
Sure. So this recipe comes from the New York Times, and I first had it when my friend brought over. He had made them, and it like says that they're like better as leftovers. And so he brought this over, and they were delicious. So I wanted to make them myself. So I have the recipe here. I have to read it because it's not complicated, but there's a lot of ingredients. So this recipe is for skillet meatballs with peaches, basil, and lime. I don't make a lot of meatballs, but these were so good. I literally have made them like multiple times since first having them. So in a large bowl, you mix together some minced or grated fresh ginger, 3 garlic cloves minced or grated, a teaspoon of ground cumin, salt, and then you add 1 pound of ground pork. It says you could also use turkey or chicken or vegan meat. I used pork, a third of a cup of panko or other plain breadcrumbs, and then some finely chopped fresh basil. And you mix everything together and you form them into small balls. I would say I made my first error here. I made mine a little too big, and it's really better to have them like pretty small, and they cook quicker and get more seared on all sides. Mine were still delicious, but I would just caution to make them the size that they say. So then you heat a large skillet over medium high, add some olive oil or oil of your choice, and add the meatballs and cook until they're browned all over for 5 to 7 minutes. Then you pour in a couple tablespoons of white wine, or it says you could use broth or orange juice. And then you add in 2 cups of diced ripe peaches. And those kind of break down a bit, and you cover the pan and let the peaches simmer, and the meatballs continue to cook until they're no longer pink in the middle. And then it says if when you uncover the pan at the end, if the mixture seems too runny, just let it cook down for another minute or so, and the peaches kind of break down into a chunky sauce. And then at the end, you add in some thinly sliced white, red, or scallion onions and just mix it in so they wilt slightly. And then you squeeze lime juice all over everything. Super, super, super good. I have a video here of them sizzling in the pan, which hopefully we can include. And then I have a photo as well of what they look like. It recommends serving them over rice, which I did. And if I would really say the key is letting the peaches break down into the like chunky, delicious sauce. And then they really are delicious the next day because I feel like they just absorb the flavors more. And I love them. This is a new favorite for me. Well, kind of new. I've been making it for a couple months now, but yeah, definitely a new favorite for me. And one skillet situation, which is always nice. And the flavors are just awesome. The basil, the lime, the ginger, and the peaches, so good. And I would recommend using pork if you eat pork, but I would be interested to hear what it's like with another kind of meat too. So I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds
really good.
amazing.
Yeah.
And like super unusual. I never would have ever have put those flavor combinations together, but it sounds really good. And I can't wait to try it. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of thing you can do with peaches that are kind of coming to their end. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exact. They say they're like, make sure your peaches are very ripe. So I think that's like a great way if peaches are in season and you have some that are like, I would just be great recipe for them. So
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
very tasty sounding.
Yeah,
Cool.
I want to eat that like now.
I know I'm describing it. I'm like hungry. I'm like, when am I going to make this again? Anyway, it's super good. I would recommend it.
Sounds like it.
Cool. All right. Well, if we have no further comments, I will say thank you for watching Recipe Share, and be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about. And please do feel free to share your own in the comments. Join us next time when our theme will be unusual tools. We're looking forward to seeing what you've been making, so thanks for sharing.
Recipe Share. recipe share. Share a little recipe